whether you look at this scientifically or you look at this judicially, the bottom line is it has been a tremendous tragedy for a lot of people. When you're in a situation like this, you call a friend. And Darrell Williams was the friend that Scott called from the jail the night of the murder. You've heard all of this, and they're talking about your dear friend, who is in an awful lot of trouble right now. What do you say?
I was bewildered at the time, and I am bewildered now. I am a lawyer. I'm a trial lawyer. I do civil litigation. I knew I was going to the jail because someone had been arrested for murdering Yarm. And I knew Yarm, and I knew the kids. I knew the family. I know 100 people who know the Falaters. But I will tell you, from all of my 26 years of experience as a trial lawyer and looking at witnesses, I left the jail that day convinced that Scott did not know what he had done.
Yeah, but he's your friend, Darrell.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to defend their friend,
That's
especially
right.
when they're in deep trouble like
That's
that.
right.
So why were you bewildered?
Because it was absolutely clear to me that Scott was unaware of what would happen.
But wasn't that part of a defense he might have to cover up this?
Scott had been up all night. He is exhausted. He's been up through the regime. I'm asking him what happened. I say, Scott, what do you remember? And he says, well, I guess I killed her. I said, what do you mean you guess you killed her? Talk to me, I'm your lawyer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking, how do I get the right lawyer to help? Mm-hmm. And I walk away from that.
We have to what he's trying to tell you is 12 people that were not his friend who sat back and listened to the evidence said, you know, Darrell Williams, you're wrong. I should point out that immediately upon the state being notified that this was going to be the defense, we began to monitor the defendant while he was in the Maricopa County Jail. What that means is that we had somebody watching him 24 hours a day to see whether or not he had another episode. He's claiming he's sleepwalking. He claims that he's stressed. Who could be more stressed than somebody that charged first-degree murder who has just killed the woman of his life? Never a single episode of that.
How far could he go? It was only like 9 by 12.
He could get up. He could attack the wall.
And
if
he
was
did.
Nervous. No, he didn't. And
Juan,
he's in prison.
it took the jury.
How
long did it take that jury to figure out that Scott was a murderer?
7 hours. And in fact, it was even shorter than that. They indicated that on the first vote, it was 9-3 for conviction. And then the three of them were the ones that held it out for a little bit longer. It wasn't a difficult case for the jury.
It's hard to believe that somebody could do something like that and not remember a thing and not be responsible. It's hard for the average individual. It's hard for me. Scott didn't even believe it for a long time.
Well, you know something, Lois, I will say that it is hard to believe,
yes,
but what we appreciate is being able to peel back the layers of this story and try to get some insight that might be able to help us so that we don't see another Scott Falater case. I want to talk with my sleepwalker here from the beginning of the show, and this young lady who's a mother who you said you had it. Come on. I asked you guys in the beginning, you believe this could have happened because you yourself are a sleepwalker. You said no way this could have happened. You've listened to all the evidence. You've heard the experts. You've even heard the accused himself, the convicted himself. What do you say now? Have any of you changed your minds?
I have.
You did?
I have changed my mind because, I mean, I know about sleepwalking and all this stuff, but to me it sounds like there's something else wrong. And maybe it was like a drinking problem or something. He blanked out and didn't realize what he was doing.
Scott never took a drink in his life that I know of. He doesn't do drugs. In fact, he was tested right after the crime for alcohol, and there was absolutely none.
You've had an hour now to sift through all of this evidence and hear this story. Have you changed your opinion? Because in the beginning of the show, you said you don't buy this.
No, I don't, but it's an incredible story to say the least. But I think what we have to be very careful of is not to find these defenses and all of these experts to have an excuse for rather than just explain what occurs. And I think that as a nation in America, we are far too quick to find a place to blame and not take personal responsibility, and I don't buy that, and I'm not comfortable with it.
Okay. Thank you both. I appreciate it. You know, while Scott Falater and his family are continuing their efforts, I understand they're even working on an appeal at this point to turn this case around. There are sleep disorder experts all around this country who are continuing their efforts to understand what I think we have discovered today is quite a curious phenomena. Don't go away. We'll be right back. A small town is gripped by fear when a birthday celebration turns to terror. Arson, murder, and a possible abduction are all part of the tragedy. What really happened? Stay with us.